Thank you. And Erev Tov, Shalom Aleichem. We're here with the weekly story, and afterwards we'll follow the weekly class in the Dvar Malchus. And in honor of the month of Adar, and also very important tonight is not only in the midst of the days of the month of Adar, but also tonight is the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach's birthday. Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach's birthday, the Rebbe of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach. It's important to remember the day of Chaf Adar, the 25th of Adar, and so we're also we're celebrating the birthday, and all this with singing and dancing and tuv levav and joy of the heart. Everyone is in their respective places are invited to get up and to dance, or if you're sitting down, you can dance sitting down. But the main thing is that we should bring the increasing of joy of Adar and bringing the greatest and utmost of joy with the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach Teichef Umiyad Mamash. Hey, vayhi b'mei Achashverosh, oh Achashverosh, vayhi b'mei Achashverosh, oh Achashverosh, vayhi b'mei Achashverosh. Hey, Melech me'aydu ve'yakusha, Melech me'aydu ve'yakusha, v'avesim. Meya Medina Sheva Vesim Meya Medina Shemi Nasada
Simcha Mishanichnas Avada Mabim Simcha Nachum
What to sing?
Baruch Hashem, Yishakor. To everyone in honor of the singing and dancing. And now we go to this week's story, Bezat Hashem. So we were talking last week and all the weeks about the great nisim, the great miracles that we are witnessing throughout this incredible testing and challenging time, this war that we're battling since the 7th of October. But it's not just from the 7th of October. This is a war that we've been battling almost 2,000 years. 2,000 years against, in order to go and to bring the Geula to to remove the hiddenness and concealment that we've been going through till now, that we don't see the complete goodness of Hashem on a revealed basis, and we should be able to see it take from yad with the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach. The concept of being able to see Hashem on a revealed basis is connecting with Moshe rabeinu, because Moshe rabeinu is the one that serves as the intermediate and the connector, memutza hamechaber, between us and Hashem. This is something that we learned about last week's parsha in the parshas Ki Tisa, with the egel, with the golden calf, Rahman litzlan. They didn't want to rebel. The Jews didn't want to rebel against Hashem. They continued to believe in Hashem. They just saw the revelation at Sinai 40 days before. So what was their problem? They saw that Moshe Rabbeinu said that he's coming right back, and he didn't return yet. They miscalculated the 40 days. They miscalculated the 40 days because the first day that Moshe Rabbeinu went up was by day. It didn't include the night before. But this is what they were lacking in. Not their belief in Hashem, but the belief in the leader of the Jewish nation that Hashem posted and designated for them then in the desert, and that Hashem, according to what the Holy Zohar says in the Kabbalah, that Hashem gives us and designates for us every single generation. And in our generation, as we know, this is the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach. So how do we connect with the Rebbe? The Rebbe himself tells us, by studying the teachings that the Rebbe has given us, his Maimorim, his Hasidic discourses, his Sichos, the public addressals. And there is another way, again, the second way that the Rebbe himself says in the Sefer Hayom Yom is by following the Rebbe's instructions. When we're talking about the instructions, there are the different instructions and guidances that the Rebbe tells us as Hasidim, as Jews, what is appropriate and what is important to do in our everyday life. But another way that the Rebbe has given us, and this is what Hashem has given us, is the ability and the opportunity to be able to go and to write directly to the Rebbe and to receive replies, receive answers. And this, our story tonight, is about one of them. The hundreds and thousands and tens and even hundreds of thousands of replies that people have been receiving every day on a regular basis in all faculties of life, family life, health, parnasa, livelihood, and so on. So here and now we're talking about a woman called Sharon. And she was traveling on the bus from Petach Tikva here in Israel, from Petach Tikva to Jerusalem, to Yerushalayim. It's a lengthy drive. So she prepared different things that she would do on this during this drive. One of the main things that she thought of was to go and to catch up on the phone calls that she's been missing. You know, so different people have different things that they catch up on. Some people catch up on Chita, some people catch up on the study of Rambam, and some people catch up on the mitzvah of Ahavas Yisrael, of love for our fellow Jew. And one of the main things of having love for our fellow Jew is looking out for our fellow Jew, connecting with our fellow Jew, calling up our fellow Jew and seeing how our fellow Jew is doing. And so this is exactly what Sharon did. And as she was looking through the different calls, there was a distant relative that she hadn't spoken to for a long time. One second. מנחם מנדל, אני בהקלטה, אתה חייב להפסיק את הרעש. מנחם מנדל. מנדי. שומעים את הכל. שומעים, אני לא יכול, אני בהקלטה עכשיו, באמצע ההקלטה. No, I guess my son was supposed to be in the class as well, so we mentioned him by his name. Nevertheless, as she speaks to this woman, to the person, to the relative on the phone, she starts to get into the concept of strengthening the trust and the belief in Hashem, and strengthening also the connection with the Rebbe. And she mentions that here and now, just like we know in the times of Purim, the Jewish nation was connected and had the leader Mordechai HaYehudi in their time. Also, we're told that we have a leader of the generation in every single generation, and this person is the one that has he is the address in order to go and to turn to when we are either in a tight situation, in a situation of danger or peril, or in a situation of happiness and a situation of joy, that we go and we ask for a bracha, and we want to share our joy, not only our tzoros, but also our simcha with the Rebbe. And so she got into a very excited conversation, and as she finishes the conversation, turns off her phone, all of a sudden she hears a noise from the seat in front of her, and there's a woman there that turns around and she says, "Listen, I apologize, but I actually, I overheard your conversation. It was quite lively, and I also heard the detail that you mentioned in regard to the fact that everyone has the ability to go and to connect to the Moshe rabeinu of our generation, and I would like to know how exactly I would be able to do so." Okay, Sharon motioned to the woman, if she'd liked, she'd be able to sit down next to her, and then they'll be able to speak a little more easier. And the woman sat down. Her name was Osnat, and Sharon explained exactly how the order of writing to the Rebbe, making the preparations of washing our hands beforehand, giving charity, giving tzedakah beforehand, making a good resolution in order to make a vessel for the to receive the bracha of the Rebbe, and then going and writing a letter to the Rebbe, putting it in the between the pages of one of the many volumes of the Igros Kodesh, and thus, when we open, we say the Hachrozas HaKodesh, the proclamation of Yechi Adonenu, Moreinu v'Rabeinu Melech Ha'Moshiach Le'olam Voed 3 times, and when we open up in the place where we put the letter, this is on one of the sides of the pages, this is the answer, the reply that we have received from the Rebbe. Great, and the woman was very excited from the idea, and Sharon also told the Osnat, the woman that was asking, that she can go into any into any Chabad house, or to any Chabadnik, any Chabad Chosid, and they will be happy to go in to help you. They arrived to Yerushalayim, and Osnat got off at the place where she needed to get off, and that's how they parted. On another journey, so Osnat found herself in Carmiel, in the north of Israel, not far from here, from Tzfat. And as she was walking in the streets, she was going to visit one of her own relatives. She saw the Chabad house, and she decided to go in and to ask to write to the Rebbe. So she went in, and there's a Rabbi Rifkin, I believe a Rabbi Yosef Rifkin, if I'm not mistaken, that is in Carmiel, the shliach of the Rebbe, the emissary of the Rebbe in Carmiel. And he said, "Sure, I'll be happy to." And she wrote the Rebbe, and she received a triple answer to the three major things that she wanted to know. One was in regard to her livelihood. She asked a blessing for her parnasa, and another one was in regard to a dira, a place of dwelling, She wanted to find. They wanted her family wanted to find a larger venue to live in. At the last but not least, she asked for a blessing for a child, because she's been married a certain amount of years, and she hasn't received a child yet. And the Rebbe gave an answer, a positive answer to each and every one of these three requests that Osnat made. And in the answer, the Rebbe writes in regard to the child that the Rebbe writes, he is very happy to hear about the birth of the child. And in regard to the fact that the people that wrote the Rebbe in the letter, in regard to the fact that you've decided to give the child the name of the Rebbe's father, Alav Shalom, Rabbi Levi Yitzchok, the Chosin Hagoyin, the great and genius Chosid, Rabbi Levi Yitzchok Schneerson. And the Rebbe says there that it gives the Rebbe great nachas ruach, great pleasure. And just as it gives the Rebbe great pleasure, so also the Rebbe blesses them. Hashem should give them great pleasure in all their necessities, in everything that they need. And this was incredible. She was a bit moved, to say the least, when she saw such an answer, but she was very happy. The only thing that served as a difficulty for her was the fact that she understood that the Rebbe is saying basically that they should give, that they have a blessing to receive a child, but that they should give the name to the child of the Rebbe's father, which is Levi Yitzchak. And she didn't know quite how to cope with this. What's the problem? Well, she felt that it was an archaic name. It's an old-fashioned name, and she and her husband were more into the fashion of giving more modern names, even secular names, not necessarily Hebrew names. And she rose. Baruch Hashem. A very short period after she received the blessing from the Rebbe, she realized that she is pregnant, and then she went to speak to her husband to see what's going to be with the name. After all, they felt that they owe the birth of this child to the Rebbe. And the husband says to Osnat, to the woman, to the mother, he tells her, listen, as far as I'm concerned, you can go and you can give any name that you feel is appropriate. I give my blessing to any name that you choose. So you don't have to feel any boundaries or any blockades as far as the name is concerned. When she heard this, she felt good, but she herself, Osnat, was also feeling not right, because she didn't want to really take the name Levi Yitzchak. And again, she wanted a modern name, not some kind of name from Jewish history, Levi Yitzchak. And that's the way things continued until before the baby was born. Before the child was born, she found herself again on a bus, this time from Jerusalem to Petach Tikva. And as she's walking down the aisle on the bus, who does she see seated in the bus? Her dear friend, Sharon, the one that initially told her about connecting to the Rebbe and being able to write to the Rebbe for blessings and so on. So she said, wait, I'll sit down next to Sharon, and I'll see what she has to say about the matter. And then she sat down, and she basically knew exactly where she's sitting herself down. As she sat down, Sharon was very happy to see her, and then she brought her issue in front of Sharon and asked her advice, asked her what she suggests. And Sharon said, listen, The whole blessing, the whole concept of the blessing, the pleasure that you're giving the Rebbe, the pleasure that Hashem is giving the Rebbe, and that you're receiving in all the other faculties that you asked for, in regard not only your child, in regard to your apartment, in regard to your livelihood, everything's coming through the blessing of the Rebbe. And the Rebbe says that this blessing is focused on one thing: the fact that this couple, that this family gave the name of his father, alav shalom. They gave the child the name Levi Yitzchak. So how can I say otherwise? How can I understand otherwise? This is what I understand, and this is the advice that you wanted to hear. That's what I have to give. But b'sha'a tova, in a good and auspicious time, Osnat gave birth to a baby boy, Baruch Hashem. And what would you think that she gave? What name do you think she gave the baby? Yeah, Levi Yitzchak. after the Rebbe's father's the name, alav shalom. And this is something that we all have the merit, the schus, to go and to strengthen our connection with the Rebbe and our bond with the Rebbe. And when we go and we write the Rebbe, it's not only the fact that we're asking the Rebbe advice and guidance, we're asking the Rebbe's bracha, blessing in any faculty of life, but the fact that we're sitting and we're writing the Rebbe is already giving us the connection with the Rebbe. And this is what we learned in the previous parshas, in the word, in the mitzvah of Tetzav, in the portion of Tetzaveh, that and the Alter Rebbe brings in regard to the concept of observance of the mitzvahs, that schar mitzvah, the reward for a mitzvah is the mitzvah itself. What do we mean by this? Not that mitzvah goreres mitzvah, not like in the previous Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, that we read that one mitzvah leads to the observance of another mitzvah. No, this is not what we're talking about. We're talking schar mitzvah. The reward of the mitzvah is the mitzvah itself. Why? The Alter Rebbe brings in Tanya that mitzvah comes from the Hebrew word tzavta, togetherness, chibur, unity, connection. And this is the merit, this is the reward of when a Jew observes a mitzvah. We have the schus, the merit of connecting with the Holy One, blessed be He, with connecting with Hashem Himself. This is the reward of the mitzvah. We don't see the reward immediately, and we're promised, Bezrat Hashem, that we will see the reward, the connection that we are making with Hashem. And this is with the immediate revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach, in the Geula Hashlema V'Amitis, in the true and the complete redemption. And this is when we'll be able to not only know of the reward, we'll be able to see our reward on a good and revealed basis. Teichef umyad mamash. Yechi Adoneinu Moreinu V'Rabeinu Amelech Ha'Moshiach Chai V'Kayam Le'olam V'Ed. Amen.